Welcome, everybody. Good evening to another virtual Monday. This is your hostess, Talisha Hunter, author of Childhood on Fire, My Journey from the Hell of Baltimore to High Water. This is my second Q&A of my book. I'm very excited. I've been getting a lot of great feedback. Some critics is out there as well, but you know how it is. You can't please everybody. Um, I'm being interviewed today by the man of the hour, the one and only, the founder of BuyBlack4Life, Mr. Jerome Hurt.
How are you?
I'm nervous.
Okay, okay.
I'm nervous, but I'm ready. Like I said before, I'm all in and I'm ready to take on whatever questions so that I can just be my transparent self.
Okay, great. Well, let me just do a quick intro of who I am. My name is Jerome Hurt. Um, like Talisha said, founder of Buy Black for Life Facebook group. We also have a Instagram presence. We highlight Black-owned businesses, give them an opportunity to be able to market their business into our group of over 166,000 members. So just wanted to let your people know who I am and who I represent. But let's just get right into it. Childhood on Fire. Let's talk first of all about the title. What went into the title of the book being Childhood on Fire? Let's talk about that.
Okay, so I remember I'm the baby of four siblings by my mom and dad, and my dad left when we were younger, and when he left, he actually took my mother's heart with him. And yeah, she went into a very prolonged sickness behind it, where she was unfit to take care of us. As a result, being I am the youngest of my siblings, I got cut the hardest with that sword. 7 years old, we unfortunately we got evicted, moved the block over to my grandmother's, and things just started to unravel, if you will. And you're talking about not eating sometimes, watching your mother morph into this nothingness. Your dad is gone, and now your siblings are all trying to fend for themselves. So it was it was very traumatizing to experience something like that as a 7-year-old. Something happened. I don't like giving out a lot of teasers and things like that. It's in the book, and I want people to be encouraged to buy the book for themselves, especially if they're looking for hope and inspiration. But an incident happened which caused a family member to intervene. And essentially, I was kidnapped. I was taken, not in a bad way. I don't want to, kind of make it seem like I have a grudge against someone or anything like that. Essentially, my family member took me from the courthouse. So in legal terms, it is kidnapping a minor.
Right.
And I was taken across state lines. And when I was taken across state lines, and keep in mind, I'm a child and I don't know this family member, and I'm being separated from the people who I did know, who I grew up with, who I love and adore. So when I got to Baltimore, things were vastly different. I had a very traumatizing childhood. It was very, it just was tumultuous. Again, if any child psychologist would just even heard the first 5 minutes of what I said, they can possibly say, I know she experienced some level of trauma.
Right.
Going into the childhood and teenage years, being robbed of your childhood. And when I say robbed, I mean, I grew up in a very strict environment, sometimes very unsympathetic. And I was made to, like, you do your chores, you do your homework, you stay in the house, you don't do anything. And again, as a child, that's hard to grasp.
Right.
It really is. And I was never afforded the therapy that I needed in order to make that transition.
Got you. So would you say that writing this book was that therapy for you?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
how did that process go for you, to be able to take the trauma that obviously was upon you? It's from head to toe. The trauma is head to toe. How did that process come about from getting it from here into the book that it is today?
So I wrote my book in my head 10 times over for years to come. I've always said, I'm going to tell my story. The world has to know what happened to not just me, but my sister who passed away and my other siblings who are, still here. So when I first started to write my book last year, I started actually putting it on paper. I was an emotional mess. There were times that I thought about things that I haven't even thought about since the incident happened. And when that memory came back to me, it caught me off guard, and I just found myself shutting down, breaking down, crying.
Right.
Like, I can't do this. But then I realized the more that I kept going, the more that I kept looking back at those demons, at that dark past, I was like, you know what? You're not so scary after all.
Mm-hmm. Got you.
Yeah.
So you dealt with the demons. You allowed yourself to kind of heal in writing this book. Let's talk about where you are now as an author, as an educator, as a healthcare provider. Let's talk about where you are now. And basically, even though you had that trauma, about you've overcoming all of the childhood on fire to be the woman you are today. Talk about that.
Okay, so it was a journey. A lot of people, I think that my book, first of all, the book title is a little misleading because it's not just about childhood, it's also about my teenage years and how I survived as a young adult.
Gotcha.
Those traumas, again, that's the worst part, is actually facing it. But I got to a point in my life, Jerome, where I started to look around. I was like, I deserve so much more.
Mm-hmm.
I deserve, my sons deserve so much more. They deserve a mother who's going to have dignity and pride about herself and be able to hold her head up high. So it was my conscience that was actually getting the best of me.
Right.
It always let me know, you're doing something wrong. Check yourself.
Right.
So I started out, I think in 2006, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back to school. I've always wanted to be a nurse and a teacher at the same time. And I think the nursing part, here's the psychological component of it. I think the nursing part to heal and help somebody else was me trying to actually go back to help myself as a younger child. So I went to school, put myself through school, and oh my God, I was working as a tech overnight. So I worked from 7 p to 7 a, and I had to be in school at 8 o'clock in the morning and work 12-hour shifts at night, and then 12 hours in nursing school.
Wow.
And anybody can tell you nursing school is a beast.
Gotcha.
And I never stopped. I always wanted, it was always like, once that flame started, it was nothing that nobody could do to stop it. Like, it was burning and it kept increasing because I felt like I had to make up for a lot of that time that was missed.
Gotcha. Okay. I want to now talk about two separate sets of people. First group of people I want to talk about are your siblings.
Okay.
And how they either received the book, didn't receive the book, and just your siblings that are here. did they validate or invalidate some of the stories? And also, you talk about your sons, right? Because I know me as a father of three. I have two boys and a son, and I know they used to see me as a superhero until I got sick. But talk about sharing the story with your siblings and then sharing the story with your children, how that went, how those conversations went.
Okay, so let me start with my sons. 2015, 2016, either or, I told them what happened to me. Before the book was even published, they knew my story.
Okay.
Yeah, I had got them all together, sat them in the living room, and I started to let them know this is what my life looked like. So if I'm not the best parent, if I seem like something is going on and I'm just dazing off, I'm back there. So just bring me back.
Right.
So yeah, it was tough for them.
Okay.
It was very challenging to
How old
hear.
were they at that time?
So you're talking about 6 years ago, 19 and 17.
Okay. So that
And
might have also validated some things that they may have thought of as well. Did that ever?
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. And I know we're getting to that point in the story. I don't want to jump ahead,
Mm-hmm.
but of course, they witnessed some of these things that I used to do.
Okay.
Drinking, my drinking habit, being drunk all the time and, just wallowing in self-pity. I waking up with hangovers and can't really function as a mother should.
Right.
So of course they saw that. And I had to explain where that came from. Where did that behavior, that habit come from? Then dig a little deeper. Well, this is how it started. So yeah, I did have that conversation with them. Do they have the book? Yes. I wrote them out a personalized page, maybe
Nice.
2 pages,
Right.
letting them know that in my absence, whatever that absence looked like, sickness, it's death, whatever, just know, don't give up.
Right.
You keep pushing. I don't care what situation is at hand. Do not give up on yourself.
Okay. So now let's talk about your siblings and how that was the book was received, and any research you might have done about things that might have happened, that might have even included them, that you might have shared with them. What was that like?
So I write about my sister in the book and about the challenges we had, at that time. A lot of people don't understand, my sister and I actually have a very good relationship now. We still, of course, have our little spats, but that's neither here nor there.
That's what siblings do.
Of course. But I love her no less. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I love my sister. And when you read the book, you might think otherwise because you're not framing it as it is today. I did not send her a copy. She jumped the gun. She jumped the gun. I didn't get my author copies until actually Amazon with this COVID business was way behind schedule.
Okay.
So the book was published Thursday, August the 6th. I didn't get my copies until the end of the month. So because it was published and it was a time lapse, everybody was like, hitting the ebook version, and it messed me up kind of because I wanted them to buy the paperback.
Right.
And then I wanted to personalize it as well, give them something with meaning. So she went ahead and bought the ebook version, and my sister probably has not read a book since high school. So she read the book and she texted me, which I was like, uh-oh, you text and you didn't call.
Right.
So she texted me and she was like, I read your book. I stayed up all night. And I didn't go to sleep until this morning. I said, wow, you read the whole book? She was like, every word. I said, so what did you think? And she said, I agree with one part, everything you said with one part, except one part. And I was like, oh gosh. And, we discussed it. And she was like, I would have liked if you would have given me a little courtesy. about what you would have put in there. And I was like, but I did. And I thought that we talked about this, and, you know, the lines of it was miscommunication.
Okay.
So she was upset about that.
Okay.
She's not upset anymore because I explained. And again, you know, sometimes when we're not clear with everything that we're doing, those lines of communication just go like back and forth, and
Yes.
something gets mixed.
Yes.
So, you know, I'm glad that we're at that place of perfect peace again in our relationship, because the last thing that I want is to be estranged from my sister and, you know, something happened to me or her, and
Right.
we didn't reconcile.
Okay.
Now, my brother, he lives, and let me back something up. My sister actually lives out of state. We were always living, we were so close that wherever she lived, I lived like maybe a block or two from her. So
Okay.
wherever she moved, I followed.
Mm-hmm.
Out of state, so she's with, you know, she's outside of my grasp. But my brother lives about maybe 10, 15 minutes from where, you know, my sons and I stay now. So of course I went to deliver a book. I don't know if he has read my book yet.
Okay.
He's more stoic. I think that's that military in him.
Okay.
I think he's going to wait till he gets to a very a happier place to read it. And the reason being is because my brother, outside of my sister passing, he's the next in line as being the oldest sibling.
Yeah.
And he's always had in his mind that I'm going to go into the military. I have to do something for myself in order to help my family. So when he came back out of the military to find his family in an even worse situation than it was before he left, that hurt him.
I'm sure it did. I'm sure it's so. So he gets grace, I'm sure, for if he hasn't read it, and I could definitely respect that and understand it. Let's talk about other family members, because we've had conversations, you and I, where other families have kind of come for you in a negative way, and you know, your book, you know, any story that we tell, I feel, from our perspective is our truth, right? Seen from our perspective. So let's talk about other family members or member that have not made this what should be an amazing thing, because you're able to get it now off of you and get it out for others to read. And we'll talk later about the end goal with respect to that. But let's talk about the response of other family members on the not positive side of what it is that you have written.
Well, you know, I've always been the black sheep of the family. When I came here to Baltimore, I was just always labeled as, like, you know, the mischievous child, the problem child, the runaway child, you know, all of those terms of endearment, you know, and those things have not stopped to this day. You know, people don't like hearing the truth, and they don't like hearing the truth about themselves.
Right.
And I say one thing that I try to teach people, and I say teach because I am an educator, is perception. Perception is individualized. It is subjective. It is what that person says it is.
Right.
You cannot tell me I didn't feel a certain way at that moment in time. You cannot tell me I shouldn't feel that way. These are my feelings. I own them. And what I would like to say is, especially if some of these family members are listening to this streamline, a 7-year-old child taken from her mother, father left, family is in such a dysfunctional disarray. I'm traumatized. If I'm acting out, just think about it. I have all right to.
Right.
So, you know, instead of looking beyond those stigmas that they was placing on me, they never looked at the problem. It never was identified. So it kept going on, and it still persists to this day. So much that I have been alienated. I have always been alienated when, certain family members, hey, Talisha, you coming out to this function? Nah, I'm a pass. You know why I'm a pass? Because I feel uncomfortable. I've never felt invited. I never felt loved and, wanting to be around the family. I've never felt that way. So why am I going to start putting up a front and doing these things now?
Right.
And especially because one thing that I say about trauma, Jerome, about somebody's story, people have voices and they want to be heard.
Right.
And if you continue to ignore that voice and not give them the platform to speak on, it can be devastating.
Right.
I have had, this pattern where I was expressing myself, but I did it in a destructive manner. And as I grew into my spirituality, I said, I can voice this in so much better, and it would be so eloquent and so graceful and received. But for that not to happen was a smack in the face all over again.
Wow. Okay. So what was the feeling for you when you were done? The book is done. It's now going to be printed, right? I said it. If I didn't say it, then it's not going to be in here, but it's said. So what was that feeling like for you?
The day before Thursday came, I was still saying, I don't know if I should do this. I don't think that this is the right thing to do.
Why?
Well, the reason why I felt like it wasn't the right thing to do is because of the backlash I was getting from my family. I've always considered their feelings, but I've never been afforded the same.
Say that again, please. Say that again.
I've always considered their feelings, but I have never been afforded the same, ever. Things have happened to me nobody has ever acknowledged. Even I put it in the book, and they still have yet to acknowledge. Talisha, I'm sorry this happened to you.
Got you.
So the day that I actually hit that button and I said, publish, I promise you, it was like I was able to breathe. Like for once, that suffocation was removed. That burden was gone. And I was like, you know what? You can say whatever you want. You could tell anybody whatever you want, their story, but I put my story out. They heard it from me.
Right.
So it was like not only a form of redemption from hiding from my past, but it was such a wonderful healing of therapy. I mean, of this feeling that came upon me like, it's over. Like the nail in the coffin.
Okay. One of the things that you just talked about is you never got that acknowledgement from some of your family members, right? About things that have happened. Does it matter if you do today, or does it no longer matter?
That's a very good question. So, and I have considered, actually, my brother and I have talked about this, and I've had friends that I, also share with. And I'm okay with never getting that apology. I'm okay. I have made peace with that. People aren't where I am. And I'm not talking about in a social status way. I'm talking about emotionally. I have gotten to the place, again, a perfect peace, whereas though I can tell my story and not feel ashamed of it.
Okay.
It happened. I got out of it. I feel great about it. Now I'm going to go and help somebody else do the same for them, But if they did come and say, you know what, Talisha, you're right. We've been listening to you. I was in denial. I didn't want to think about it from your perspective. And I'm starting to think about it from where you stand and from where you were. It makes sense what you're saying.
Right.
I love you. I've always loved you. Let's make amends. Let's make peace. And I would definitely run to them with open arms. I've always been a lovable, kind-hearted person. Anybody would tell you that.
Okay.
I hold no grudges. They bear no weight over me as far as, whatever happened, it happened. I'm over it.
Right. Okay. So if there is a chapter, page, words in the book that anyone who's listening right now has not read the book and you want to be able to grab their attention to read this book, or story you would like to tell that you think would get their attention that's from the book, what would that be? What would that story be that's in the book?
So I would tell them to go to the most gritty part of the book, chapter 8.
Tell me about chapter 8.
So chapter 8 is
and write that down, folks. Chapter 8.
chapter 8 is the part in my life. I was 16. That was the part of my life that was critical. Now, I had the building blocks to where I got up until age 16.
Mm-hmm.
So I already knew what happened in my life thus far to make me who I was at 16. Going a little further, that chapter right there. So I was in a group home. My family got tired of me running away. I didn't want to be there, to be honest, and they put me in a group home. And after running away so much, I finally got to this beautiful group home. It was a mansion over in the Remington area, and it was just so delightful. And I mean, it took me by surprise because there were so many young ladies. They were pregnant and they were so welcoming. And I learned like somebody finally sat me down and said, I'm going to teach you. So I learned, a lot of skills that I use today. I sewed, I crocheted, I was a typist. They showed me my math skills, my home ec, those things that were important. And when they started to work with me, I was like, this is wonderful. But I frittered everything away because I started having a liking for young men. Unfortunately, I wasn't dating people or liking people around my age group. I started to look for older men. And as I look back, I know that was me seeking the love that I should have been getting from my father.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I caused a riot.
You caused a riot where? In the group home?
In the group home, yeah. We caused a riot. We wanted to get out bad. It was the weekend. I mean, we were burning with passion to just be out and experience life. And I stole a logbook. It was the holy grail of the institution. Yeah, I hid the logbook. I teased the staff and told them, I got your logbook. You got to let me out. The girls and I, from at that time, we were still connected and we laugh occasionally about that. I even was roller skating around with no clothes, not a stitch of clothes on. Wow. Just roller skating just to say, put me out. I need to get out. So eventually the police was called and we got out. And the gentleman that I went to go see lived in the neighborhood. So it was in walking distance. So when we get there, they're playing cards and we're drinking. I'm acting like I'm so belligerent, I'm drunk. I can't go back home. My dad is going to kill me if he sees me like this, the fake lies.
Right.
And
how old was the young man?
You know what, to be honest, I know that they were older. So I know that they were at least adults.
Okay.
Probably not that much older, 19, early 20s, but
Mm-hmm. But older.
I slept in the same bed with the gentleman. My girlfriend who's pregnant is on the couch. I woke up the next morning to somebody I did not see the night before and never saw in my life before. Yes. and I was sexually assaulted.
Okay.
And I tell people, be careful what you look for,
Yeah.
because you might just get it.
It'll find you.
It will find you. I've gotten past that. It's sometimes, I'm not going to lie and say I'm over everything,
No.
but I have moved past that. It's been almost 30 years,
Okay.
28 to be precise. Before, when I was in my 20s, I was full of anger, rage, hellfire. Like I wanted somebody's head on a plate.
Okay.
But again, when you start to move through those channels of spirituality and you know what God has brought you through, those things look so miscellaneous to me now.
Awesome.
So I tell people, especially the young girls who are listening to this broadcast, if you're a teenager, you sometimes we get these desires, our hormones start to take over on us, okay? And then we feel like, we start smelling ourselves, is what the old people say.
Right.
And, we're looking for attention. Some of us don't have our fathers in our lives, and we look for attention in, all sorts of things. Be very cautious. The gentleman could have gave me HIV, could have gave me AIDS.
Right.
Unfortunately, he gave me something that, lingered a little bit more, but I've gotten over it and I've gotten through. Just, ladies, be careful. Stay at home, be anchored in your home where it's safe, if it's safe, because not every home is safe,
Especially during this time of COVID. Yeah.
So, chapter 8, most gritty, but it is what it is.
Okay. So one person we have yet to talk about that seems to be extremely prevalent to your story is your father.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your father. Let's talk about him leaving. And at any time in the book, is there a reconnection? Let's talk about your father.
So yeah, my dad is responsible for a lot of lives going, east, west, north, south, you name it. I still talk to my dad, but not like we never had that relationship.
Okay.
He's always been a stone wall, never showed his emotions. I've never heard my father to this day tell me that he loves me.
Mm.
Never. Which sucks, because I'm a very loving soul. And that's the part that still bothers me, is he missed out on so much love. So much. And the fact that, my mother went through these things, for him not to come back at any given time and to offer his apology, that's the part that still stings.
And I'm sorry, I'm gonna take my hat off as the interviewer and become the healer, right? And I say that because I have a father who, and I just turned 55. All my life, he's never been a part of my life. My father has so many children. It's half of a NFL roster. So I think we're at 20 plus. I don't
Oh my God.
remember the number. And I blamed my father because there are three of us that my mother had four children. Three of us share the same father. That's my oldest brother, my youngest brother, and myself. Okay. I have a younger sister who has a different father, but three of us, and my oldest brother passed away of a drug overdose in 1999. And two things happened in that process of us planning his funeral, number one, my father disrespected my mother in front of me as a grown man for the first time. And if it wasn't for my younger brother pulling me off of him, I would have killed him. That's number one. Number two, I blamed my father for my brother dying. But let me just talk to you about the shift that I've had to have, right?
Mm-hmm.
For your father to be the way that he is, your father was probably doing the best he knew how to do with what he had. And I say that because I look at my father, and my father was abused by his own father for a very long time. So the way that he gave love was differently than what I would want as his son, or even what a woman would want from a man.
Yeah.
My father is a very angry human being, and for reasons that you and I probably, in our anger, we have the ability now to be able to get that off of us.
Mm-hmm.
My father didn't. So on the 20th anniversary of my brother dying on December 23rd of this past year, I called up my father on my way to work, and true to his form, he's yelling and he's, cussing, and for the first time, I flipped it, right? In my mind, I said to myself, he lost his son as well.
Yeah.
And not only his son, his favorite son. And I hate to say that, but it's real. And it was known by every one of us as brothers and sisters. My brother, Mark Anthony, was my father's favorite.
Wow.
So I flipped it knowing my father lost his son too. And it's been 20 years. And, when I got past the yelling and the cursing, and we're so much alike. We're both Leos, 3 days apart. We're so much alike. I let him get that off of him. And then I ended the conversation by saying, I love you to him.
Wow.
And he said it back to me. And I'm a big dude, but I'm a big teddy bear. I lost it. So what I'm saying to you is be undeterred about the fact that I love you, that you seek from your father. Be undeterred about wanting it. It's going to come. And it's not in your time.
Yeah.
It may not even be in your father's time, but it's in God's time.
Yeah.
Because when you do get it, it's probably when you will need it the most. So I just wanted, that was my longer-winded way of basically saying that.
It was perfect.
So that's what I want to drop. Now I'll put my interview hat back on and let you continue about your father. Please excuse me. That just
please.
My
that was
spirit.
The perfect time to bring that all together. And I wasn't even prepared. I kind of felt that you were going to have me crying, but I didn't even have any Kleenex within reach to wipe my eyes. So I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. He was always my hero.
Gotcha.
And throughout the years, even when my siblings would say, you know what, he's a scumbag. Why do you love him so much? It's my father. That's our father.
Yeah.
And you try to hold on. And again, I always say, because I'm the baby and because I'm a Cancer, I'm an emotional woman just by nature. That's who we are. Shout out to all the Cancers. But, and then I'm just that daddy's girl. I've always looked for that. Like, come on, take me to my dad. Let me go see my dad. I love my mother. Don't get me wrong. Oh my God. Like, me and my mother have a tight relationship to this day. But, I think it was because he wouldn't give me the attention that I sought. That's what it was.
Got you.
Chased him.
So let's talk about mom. And in the book, you talk about how she just couldn't take care of you after your dad left. And I'm sure in hindsight for her, that had to hurt her. And you talk about how now you have a good relationship. Talk about that healing, because you had to also forgive your mother. as well. So talk about that.
So what the difference, both mom and dad had some parallels, but the difference was, to me, in my mind, she was at an unfortunate situation as a direct result of his behaviors.
Right.
Because, they were married. He's the one who chose to, dip out, go see another woman.
Right.
So that was, that's something that he has to live with. As far as my mom, yes, there was a point in my life for, I would say, my teenage years up until my late 20s, I used to be mad with my mom a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I found myself, why couldn't you be stronger? Why did you have to succumb to this illness because of a man? A man, there's plenty of them out there. That's how my thinking was.
Right.
And because of that, two things came about because I held those beliefs. Number one, I said to myself, and I vowed this even before I had children, I said, when I have kids, God willing, I will never give up on them.
Mm.
Never. Like, sometimes I overcompensate for that.
That's okay.
And I find myself doing too much, and I got to be like, you know what? He's a grown man. Get it done your damn self. For real. But as far as my mom, when I did finally realize, once I got into nursing school and I started to look, we took, oh my God, I took about 7 psychology classes. And I started to look at the condition she was in. I was like, it wasn't her fault.
Right.
It wasn't. And that gave me so much peace, knowing that it wasn't intentional on her behalf or just a lack of being lazy.
Right.
It wasn't that. It was just she couldn't help herself.
Right.
And nursing school provided that school and that education, and also comes with education, healing and understanding.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we're winding down, and I one of my biggest questions for you about this book, and we've talked quite a bit about your book with each other, is who or what do you want someone who reads your book to get out of your book? What is it? Anyone who's watching, okay? What is this? What is the recap, the story, without reading the book, that you would like to convey to someone who will possibly read your book?
So there's a couple of points, and please forgive me. I'm working behind the scenes because a lot of people have told me, and I'm gonna get to your question, but a lot of people have told me, Talisha, you gave us one hell of a gritty read, but you never told us really how you got out of those conditions and how you changed your life.
Please, yeah.
So I'm writing another book, and I'm going to be very sincere about those things that helped me,
Okay.
being very honest. But for those who are looking for immediate help right now, number one, I know I have said this and I'm gonna say it again. So many of us, Black people, in our culture, we feel like seeking mental health therapy is a taboo.
Preach.
It could be, you could be nothing further from the truth. Sit down, get some professional help. We come from generational, slavery, that ancestral DNA that's in us that has never been dealt with. You know how your mom, your dad, you get these chromosomes, they pass it along. Some of us have mental illness from day one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you have your environment coupled with it, whatever the traumas you went through, whatever you saw,
Yes.
and how you coped with those traumas.
Yes.
That can make mental illness surface like on steroids.
Mm-hmm.
I suffered with mine. I have no shame about it.
Same
Yeah,
here.
I had disillusionment. I was anxious. I had periods of depression where people had to come and basically almost kick my door in. Get up. You've been in this bed for a whole week. It's unacceptable. Go wash.
Right. Right.
And, that mental health therapy is key, Jerome.
Okay. That I
By an
know. I
expert.
agree. 100%.
By an expert, not your homegirl. Y'all sitting down drinking and having a discussion or one-on-one, okay?
Well, I'll say this, right? That's okay to be a small piece,
It
right?
is. If you can start talking, but you need somebody who's going to actually tell you, this is what's going on, this is where it came from, and this is how you fix it.
Exactly. Because your girls can't tell you that.
And believe me, I had young ladies in my life who to this day still wouldn't tell me you was a mess.
Mm.
They like to smooth things over, and that's okay. Everybody don't have those voice of reasoning in the immediate circle. That's why I said go see an expert, especially in the time of COVID.
Yes.
Oh my God, anxiety
Yes.
through the roof.
Yes.
So the mental health therapy is definitely one of the reasons why I did it, because I felt like for so long, this has been something that has been just swept under the rug. The second thing is, I started a foundation. It's called KJM Youth Foundation. I established this in 2014 as an outreach initiative, okay? I've always had a passion for helping teens, and I like to exploit them because that's where the need is. That's where that time is really going to happen, where they're going to start to make decisions that could be costly.
Absolutely.
So if I put my story out there and it gets in their hand, maybe that guy that they was getting ready to go see, it'll make them think twice.
Right.
In addition, it's gritty, cover to cover gritty, but at the end of the story, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Despite everything that I've been through, once I started to correct those other things, I was able to get a master's in nursing, become a nurse educator, teaching at a local community college. And now, going into this area where I'm being asked to speak at high schools.
Nice.
To motivate somebody else. So I consider myself, one of those platforms where you got your lighthouse and I'm just waving at you.
Yes.
I'm telling you, I'm bringing hope and inspiration back to the game. So come on and follow me.
All right. Wrap it up by telling anyone who's watching where they could find your book, and your social media handles and your platform. And if anyone has questions, please drop them in. I know Talisha will be going through the questions and she'll answer the questions. But just wrap us up about where to find the book, and anything else that you would like to say, please.
Yes. So before I talk about the end piece, there was another part. Please forgive me. I've been at work in meetings all morning, so I'm a little scattered. Another piece of my book, because people do want to know, it's not about my story. What can I get out of it?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like people who have grown up without parents or without a parent,
Mm-hmm.
people who have had some traumatic experiences as a child, people who have had some rough teenage years. I was homeless. So, homelessness, and I already shared, sexual assault. I've been through quite a lot. And I'm sure that the average person can read the book. I'm going to put it out there. The average person, I'm not even targeting my audience. The average person can read it and find something worthy in it. If not, they know somebody who can.
Okay, that's awesome.
So Childhood on Fire is on Amazon as a paperback and as an ebook. I don't have my website up yet, but I'm working on that, and I plan to have that done within the next month or so. I'll put the links with this video. I will put the links that you can get it. I always tell people if they feel like they want an autographed copy, hit me up. I have no problem writing my name on there because I'm claiming it. This is going to be the best seller.
Awesome.
You can find me on Facebook at official author Talisha Hunter. Please do not send friend requests to my personal page. They've been doing it the wrong way. Like, go to the author page because I get so many. I'm trying to figure out who I know.
Right.
So yeah, go to that, and then when you send me a message, it'll come right to me. If you send it to me with my regular personal page, I won't be able to see it. I'm on Twitter, Talisha Hunter 5. Please follow me. I look real pathetic on Twitter. I only got like 3 followers. So follow me. And I'm on Instagram at official _ Talisha _ Hunter. I will put all the links there so that it would be very easy for somebody to navigate through. And one more thing. I have some more exciting news.
Please.
So I'm having an upcoming speaking engagement next month. It's going to be local.
Okay.
And I am going to be donating some of those proceeds to a local foster home or group home rather. Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. So definitely stay tuned for those events, like the page so that you can stay abreast with everything. And definitely support me because I'm definitely giving back so somebody else can pay it forward.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you to all who are watching this. I also look forward to seeing some of the questions on there. Talisha, thank you for allowing me to have this conversation with you. It's been great. It's been wonderful. I wish you nothing but amazing success with the book and everything that you're doing outside of the book.
Thank you. And I'm just, I don't know what to say. I appreciate you coming and interviewing me. You had some very interesting questions and you were able to pull me. Not a lot of people can do that. But I'm glad that I actually, did have that moment so that some people can see, my real self, my true nature. It is very genuine.
That's what's
Thank you for your time because I know your time is costly.
Listen, I'm glad that I could do this for you.
Thank you. I appreciate you. You take care and you be safe out there, especially in the era of COVID.
Yes.
All right. Bye.